Welcome to When the Facts Change for this, my regular weekly show, released every Friday morning, exclusively on my When the Facts Change Substack. Now, the UK government's on the ropes. We're now in the end game. Prime Minister Keir Starmer is unlikely to make it to the end of 2027 as Labour leader and Prime Minister, let alone to 2029, the scheduled end of this Parliament. Even if he does stay, Starmer will need to form a Faustian pact with the mass ranks of hard-left Labour MPs, led by rebel-rouser-in-chief Angela Rayner, along with Ed Miliband, the favourite of tens of thousands of left-wing Labour activists across the country. The UK government has for a long time paid a lot to borrow, with the big global investors who lend government serious money eyeing the party's inability to control the public finances, pushing up sovereign bond yields. Over this last month of Labour leadership turmoil, the UK's 10-year gilt yield has surged, with the British government paying more to borrow than any other G7 country, more than Malaysia, South Korea, Greece and Spain, more than Morocco, with an already £100 billion plus annual debt interest bill spiralling upward, money diverted, of course, from schools and hospitals. I discuss all this and more with the brilliant Helen Thomas, the CEO of financial consultancy Blonde Money. Across the other side of the world in Japan, we may see more financial fireworks in the aftermath of a stunning election victory last Sunday for the incumbent Prime Minister, Sanae Takaichi. Now, Takaichi's dubbed herself the Iron Lady in honour of Margaret Thatcher. But while she's certainly strong on defence and patriotism, as I warned in last week's Sunday Telegraph, Takaichi's planning to borrow and spend a huge amount of money in a bid to get the Japanese economy moving. But with government debt exceeding 230% of GDP, that could rapidly unwind the so-called yen carry trade, with foreign investors who borrowed heavily and cheaply in yen rushing to pay back now increasingly expensive yen-based loans, selling off shares and bonds elsewhere to do so, sparking financial turbulence across the world. I'm joined by the highly influential Japan expert Professor Richard Werner. And as it happens, I'm recording this episode of When the Facts Change from Oman. I'm here on business. It's just across the Strait of Hormuz from Iran, of course, a mere 20 miles away. Now, Iran could be facing regime change for the first time since the Iranian Revolution of 1979. As thousands protest against the Ayatollahs and with the US Navy nearby, America and Iran are negotiating, here in Oman in fact. This region really is on the brink of a major military conflict, with potentially huge implications for the Middle East and the world. I'm delighted to be joined by former UK Ambassador to Iran, Nick Hopton, who knows the Middle East extremely well, having also been British Ambassador to Yemen and Qatar. Join us for a detailed discussion. So excuse me for not being in my usual studio, I'm on the road. But do stay with me for another packed episode of When the Facts Change. Thanks for joining When the Facts Change, economics and politics in a fast-moving world with me, Liam Halligan. Please subscribe to my When the Facts Change YouTube channel and my podcast via Spotify, the podcast app, or wherever you listen. And above all, please subscribe to my When the Facts Change Substack for more of my interviews and writing.